Hello and welcome to a new reading vlog. So you might have noticed the paint has changed. Thanks Dad for painting that for me, and to my ex-boyfriend and to his brother and to my mum and my stepdad. They've all been helping me this week with a bunch of stuff. So I'm very lucky to have a good tribe behind me to lend me support when needed. I am here to tell you about the books I read. So I have been reading ravenously. I decided to take this month off to focus on my health because it had deteriorated. And I am feeling better, but because I'm not working, I've got a lot of time on my hands and I have been reading. So I'm going to talk about the books I read in order from my least favorite to my most favorite. So we're starting with the book Calypso by Oliver K. Langmead, and this is a sci-fi. And this was written in poetic verse, which I feel didn't really work for the book. It made the reader feel quite removed from it. It made the main character feel very light, almost like a whisper. I didn't really feel their emotions. Basically, you've got a woman who goes with these other people on a flight to populate a new planet because climate change, the Earth is destroyed, and they're sending colony arcs out into space to see if they can seed life on planets. And it says it's a high stakes adventure. I don't feel that way. I really didn't feel the stakes. I didn't feel much of anything, to be perfectly frank. It was okay. I gave it a 2.5 stars. It was a slog to get through, despite the fact it is a short book, and I think that has a lot to do with the lyrical, poetic way of writing. But like I said, I just didn't connect to any of the characters. It was very confusing. Because of the way it was written, it was harder to understand what was happening, and so it took a lot more effort. It wasn't to my taste. The cover is gorgeous, but if you want something a bit more experimental with its writing style and something that's a bit more vague and ambiguous, then this might be for you. Bluebell, why do you have to put your butt right on my stuff? The next book that I picked up was Die Hot with a Vengeance by Sable Yong. So this is a nonfiction book about the beauty industry. So the author used to work for Allure magazine, and it's basically a millennial's take and humorous thoughts on the beauty industry. I found it quite funny. It was very easy to read. I wouldn't go into this looking for something serious and like an expose or something highly analytical. It is more entertaining than enlightening in that aspect, but I did enjoy her little essays on beauty culture, and if I was going to rate it, it would probably be a 3.5. The next book that I picked up is Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison, and this is a horror book, but it's basically like Raven from Teen Titans, and if you know her story, that's what this is. It was easy to read. You've got a young woman who has left her family, who are religious, and she's not having the best life. It's a bit shitty. And then one day she's invited to return for the wedding of her cousin to her ex-boyfriend. And at first she thought, oh, I'm just going to return and fuck shit up. But then other stuff happens along the way and she becomes aware of her family history and it gets very zany. I did see the twist a mile away, so I don't think it's one of those books where you're going to be shocked and astounded by the reveal. It's also not super horror-y. It's quite tame and mild. There is a little bit of violence, but it's manageable. And yeah, I couldn't take it seriously because I just kept seeing Raven and her dad in my head like the whole time. It was still entertaining though. I did give it a 3.5 stars. So if I was going to recommend it, I'd say people that like something that's a bit not so serious in their horror, a bit more comical. It's not comical, but to me it felt that way, but that's probably because of my own associations with it. But the main character was, a fun young woman who thinks her family's traditions are bullshit and calls them out on it and isn't afraid to be the black sheep of the family. But yeah, it's a fun, like mildly mindless sort of entertainment. I then picked up the graphic novel Two Graves Volume 1 by Genevieve Valentine, Ming Doyle and Annie Wu. So this is like Hades and Persephone, but make it star-crossed with a side quest of ashes. You have a young woman who has been not saved by death, but momentarily paused from being raped. She has certain things happening to her. There's a relationship between her and Death. Death's siblings are very much trying to correct the way of things and move her on to the other side, but she doesn't want to go and he doesn't want her to go. and the illustrations were really lovely. It's definitely made to continue on. There isn't any like proper romance in there, but you can tell there's something burgeoning between Amelia and the death character in this book, and I enjoyed it. I would give it a 3.5 stars. I don't feel the need to continue on in the series, but I thought it was an interesting take on the whole Hades and sort of Persephone dynamic. And the last book that I read for this very mini vlog is Rising Dawn, which is the 4th in the Guardians of the Maiden series by Beck Michael. So this is a high fantasy book with a whole bunch of different beings. My favorite, of course, are the Celestials, which are kind of like angels, and the main love interest, who is one of them, and he's done some things in the last book, and there's lots of drama. It's the 4th, so I can't really talk about the plot. You know, they're still trying to find certain objects, still trying to defeat certain foes. The fellowship of these people is still strong, and it does fairly well at putting equal attention on each of the characters. So it's not just the main chick and her Dark Angel lover. It does show you all of the characters, and they're also individual sort of side quests that are going on simultaneously. I really, really enjoyed it. It is a long book, but it's one of those books where I don't feel like it's overly padded. It makes sense, but it's epic fantasy, and epic fantasy, you know, they're long books. They've got the slower pace, and it makes sense for that genre. I did give it 4.5 and not a 5-star though, because there is a love triangle shoehorned into this that absolutely nobody asked for. I understand it was put in there to sort of cause conflict, but it was just so yuck. I had to sort of clench my teeth to get through it. I just hated it. I hated it. It went on for way too long, and I'm not happy Jan about it.
Not happy, Jan!
But it's over, thank God. But that is in there. But I'm not a fan of love triangles in general. I hate them. I don't like them. So yeah, didn't love that, but I did love everything else. It's still going though. So there's going to be a 5th book. Like, I love it, but I hate it. I would have very much liked the story to be done now, not to have to continue to wait, because it does kill the excitement a little bit. And I was like this about getting the 4th one, because it also took a lot longer to come out than it was meant to. It was meant to be out months ago. I think there was a bit of a hiccup with things going on, and it ended up being released on Kindle Unlimited. So I've gotten to read it, and I still love it. But yeah, when I saw that, oh no, this isn't the final installment, there's another, I'm not a huge fan, you know, rather than three installments, start a new series or start a new chapter of this world with different characters. I don't know, but yeah, 5 books now. Is that going to be the last one? I don't know. I don't know. Will I read the next one? I don't know. So it depends how long it takes to come out, and if I've remembered about it, if I could have forgotten about it by then, we'll see. But those were all of the books that I have read recently. Until next time, stay wild, Star Child.